Welcome to the Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical, and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.
So welcome to the show. It's Tuesday today. This is going out live on Mintwave radio station. You can simply ask Alexa, or you can go to the website karenrobertscoaching.com/mintwave-radio. And if this is via podcast, you can download the Podbean app for Apple and Android and take a look at the other podcasts that are on our network. Please subscribe to any that take your fancy, follow, or just leave a comment. Now, today's episode of A Coffee with Karen is episode 148. And today we have Beverly, who is a transformation coach, Feng Shui consultant. And today we're going to be talking about how to learn your home's language to achieve your dreams. Now, I'm your host, Karen Roberts, and we are really just helping coaches and therapists get their message heard to the people who need it. So first of all, welcome to the show, Beverly.
Thank you so much, Karen. I'm very happy to be here.
Well, I'm very glad you're here. Now, Beverly is a transformational coach and Feng Shui consultant. Her childhood experiences of growing up on a pig farm in central Kansas included learning water witching from her father and using nature to ground. She graduated from the University of Kansas with a journalism degree, worked with Procter & Gamble, and has worked in the magazine industry, commercial interiors, specialty plant nurseries, and real estate. She's been studying Feng Shui after getting a breast cancer diagnosis at age 36. Now, a neighbor gifted her a book on it, and the rest, as they say, is history. She's studied with 7 different teachers, including Joey Yap in Malaysia. Beverly and her husband have been married for 32 years and have 2 wonderful adult children. She's currently in Austin, Texas. Where do we start with all of that? Beverly, if you could share with the listeners a little bit more about that background story, because that sounded fascinating.
Or as my husband likes to refer to it, career ADHD.
Love it.
No, but the reality is I have a deep curiosity about just how things work. And I think if I had been born nowadays, I probably would have gone into genetic research, because I am absolutely fascinated with how genes, like the family of origins and the gene expression, and how that isn't just impacting the physical body, also the emotions and how people respond to things. I've noticed that how that ties in with Feng Shui is there's an interconnected, I can't even say that word. Things fit together with the placement of things in the house and how sometimes it can manifest in the physical body. A lot of it too is determined by just what are your thought processes, what are the habits, the patterns, the modeling that we receive from our parents. But to circle back a little bit to my rather unusual childhood, I'm the youngest of 8 children, and I was that bonus baby where my mom really thought she was going into menopause. And no, in fact, 4.5 years after my twin brothers were born, hi, hello, it's me. As my siblings would say, yeah, you're the problem, it's you. Thank you, Taylor Swift. But growing up in that close to nature and having a father who some of my earliest memories are riding in the pickup truck with him, and he'd have one of these copper L-shaped rods, and he would just drive down the road until he would feel the tug, and then he'd pull over, be able to walk right to where the vein of water was and tell people how deep to dig. And he was right every single time.
Wow.
I was 5 when he gave me the rods, and I felt that zing through my body, and it really unnerved me because I didn't know what to expect and I didn't know what was going on. So I really shut down my intuitive nature until I couldn't anymore. And at 36, getting a breast cancer diagnosis it's jarring at any age, but especially when there was no family history. The best gift, though, that I received from that little surprise, not exactly the surprise you want, but the best gift I received, though, was learning about Feng Shui and using that as the vocabulary, the translator between what is it that is showing up in your environment and what is the message that the universe is trying to get through to you. Again, I use the term universe. You can substitute God, whatever source. There is a higher power. Whatever you choose to call it, I'm just calling it the universe for right now. I shift terms occasionally. So with Feng Shui, you take your space and you divide it into 9 equal sections. And this is called the bagua map. That's simply the Chinese term for 8 sectors, even though there's a center section that's the health sector that everything else revolves around. Each of those sections has a different correlation with a different part of our life. So starting off in the north, that's your career and life path palace. That sector helps you identify what is it you want to be when you grow up, and what type of person do I want to be? Am I in integrity? Is this a full body yes for me? If you then go around to the northeast, that is the skills and knowledge sector. What skill set do I need to have? Do I need to go back to school? Do I already know everything that I need to know, and I'm just too afraid to actually move forward with it? The East sector is all about family and ancestors. What were the habits that you grew up with? What were the trademark beliefs and modeling that you got from your family of origin? Is that all still valid? Is that the legacy that you want to leave for your children or for nieces and nephews, really? Then there's the area that belongs to the Southeast. That's your abundance and wealth and prosperity sector. It's all about long-term abundance. It's about what's your relationship like with money? What is your thoughts about what is enough for you? Where is that set point? Again, for me, one of the things that I got to really do a lot of work around was this belief that anytime you received money in, since money was evil, you don't really want to hold on to it very long. And so I'd create situations, or I'd find that there's something that required that money to leave almost as soon as it came in. And so there was this always nice, even Steven kind of a thing. But let's face it, accumulation is also really good. There's not a hoarding piece that needs to go on, but there's also a nice piece about being able to have that extra, the cushion for other things.
There's so much involved with this. I mean, it's such a complex
things.
It's so complex, but I think people can have an understanding of it, as in we all know that if we have a messy house, we have a messy mind. We know that it makes us feel uncomfortable. Things need to clear. So for some things that link with Feng Shui, I think are pretty obvious because people feel it. But what you're sharing there, when you're talking about this, is that it's just from wherever you are, the north or northeast part of the house, but when you talk about that is linked to you're creating wealth more long term. How does that relate to the home then? What are you doing there? What do you need to have in that part of the house then?
There's so many different layers that go on with Feng Shui. It was already talked about how there's the layer of the directions, the actual compass directions. And then there's the layer of what are those? Is it a yin expression or a yang expression of one of the 5 elements? And so you've got 5 elements: the fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. So those 5 also get tucked into one of those sections. When you're looking at if I were to walk into a home and I would see a lot of real example, I had a real estate agent contact me and she was just really struggling. She just had her little small office and could not seem to make any headway into getting clients. And I took a look at her space, and the long-term wealth and abundance sector was blocked. She couldn't even get to it. She had a broken bookshelf in front of it. On the shelf behind that was a dead plant, and that was also where she was storing her divorce papers. And so by bringing that to her attention, that, okay, so somehow in your mind that you have decided, that your body is manifesting the complete discomfort and distrust of yourself to actually grow your own business. You've got a dead plant, you've got this, so that's one example of a failure that keeps gnawing at you. You haven't been able to fix this bookshelf. There's a second example of I'm incapable of doing things myself. And then the third example was the divorce papers, which even if it's a really positive thing that marriage ended, there's still some level of societal talking
Judgment.
yeah, so you failed. I'm a failure. I can't tell you how many people have said, well, I guess just my picker's broken. Your picker's probably absolutely spot on. It's that the instructions that you have, your unconscious instructions to give to your picker, need a little bit of fine tuning. Everybody's picker is fine. It's like a computer program. It does what you program it to. It's just until you can upgrade that program, it's just going to keep giving you the similar type of results. But in that case, what I had her do, I say all, she quickly realized that those divorce papers need to be stored someplace else in a safe, in another spot, certainly not in that area. The dead plant needs to be given a proper burial, and the broken shelves, she actually really it didn't require much to fix it, and so she fixed it. That was on a Friday. On Monday morning or Monday afternoon, she calls me up and says, I don't know what kind of crazy magic you just did, but I've got 3 clients. She had 3. It was when you free that space up. One of the things too that Feng Shui people, a lot of times they associate, no clutter with Feng Shui. Absolutely nothing on the desk. Everything has to be super clean and perfect. It's not always that easy because I personally am a very visual person. If I don't see it out, it doesn't exist. It's like I'm a toddler at times. It's, out of sight, out of mind. ADHD a little bit going here.
I can relate to that.
Yeah, so being a horizontal filer it's how you are processing your world. The problem is when those piles start getting higher and higher, and next thing you know, you realize, oh my gosh, dust has now accumulated on top of that pile. And that's when it's a problem. It's the stagnation of the energy that is the issue. So if any of your listeners are out there who are looking over their shoulder at that pile that, oh dear, she's talking about me, it's okay. Forgive yourself, because all you're doing is it's deferred. That's a deferred decision. And so now it's the time you can choose to make the decision to start working through the different layers. And the majority of the time, at the very bottom of that pile is something that has some kind of an emotional hook for you. And so instinctively, intuitively, we're trying to push down that guilt or that shame over not having dealt with whatever that is. And so you just take that pile, flip it upside down, deal with whatever's on the bottom of that, and the rest of the pile will go away no time flat.
That makes a lot of sense.
Again, ask me how I know. There's so much personal learning and personal experience going into all of this. Right. I actually had been in practice for over 10 years by the time because I'm really good at seeing other people's stuff. As with most people, you don't ask a doctor to diagnose themselves because they will never do it. I finally had to bring in a professional organizer to help me deal with all the paper and the clutter that had accumulated in my space, in my office. And a big reason why there was a big pile that I kid you not, I hate to admit it, but it had been there for 3 years, Karen. The reason why it had been there for 3 years is because we had some challenges with one of our children. And at the very bottom was a lot of the research that I had been doing to help figure out what the next steps were. And it was masking a part of the really hard part of life. Now, at that
So,
point in time, things had settled down. And so it was like, okay, I can now deal with this. But it did take
right.
another person to come in a lot of tears.
But it happened. From what you've just said there, actually, then it happened at the right time.
It did.
So again, so the message that I'm hearing from you is, like you say, if people are looking around and thinking, oh, again, be kind to yourself. It's okay. And there might be something, some real reason behind that. And maybe you weren't ready to go and deal with it. But maybe you're in a better place now so that you can, like, okay, it's time. And I love that idea, flipping it over. Are you saying that just get to the problem?
Exactly.
Is that what you're saying? Just deal with it. And then everything else was just added onto it because you're just trying to block it, pile stuff up.
Karen, let's face it, but from the time that the pile started till the time that you're ready to deal with it, you are a different person. You're bringing a whole different perspective, a whole different you to the problem. And then the newer you may look at that going, why was that even a problem? That wasn't a problem. That was just, and again, sometimes there is really literally just no time to deal with things. And like I said, it's a deferred decision. That's not a bad thing because sometimes you only have a little bit of bandwidth and you need a little bit more larger window of energy to do something. Just mark it on your calendar, make a date with yourself, and stop beating yourself up.
Yeah, there you go. Because we can be very hard on ourselves, can't we? Like you said earlier about we think we're going to be judged. Who's going to be judging? Nobody, no, not anybody's necessarily seeing. Nobody's going to judge you, but it's us. It's how we feel, and we tend to be our biggest judge. But it's okay. Deal with it when you're ready, and I suppose understand the reasons as to why you've got that. And so when you say, that because again, I think people may misunderstand Feng Shui because, I would think, okay, it's about clearing everything, which makes sense because of the energy. If energy is going to flow, you need the space for it to flow. It doesn't need to get blocked in piles of things that you've been putting off. But it sounds to me like there's a little bit more to it than that.
Oh, there's a lot more to it. So Feng Shui translates to wind and water, and it talks about the way that energy moves in both a tangible way, the water, and the intangible way, the wind. And the self-talk that we have is an intangible energy that we bring to a space. The colors that we choose to surround ourselves with it's both that tangible, but it's also that feeling that you get from that. There's a lot of that emotional piece that is in there that resonates within us. Smells are another big thing that I bring into the consultations. We have all walked into certain spaces that may look absolutely perfectly like model homes, for example. They're designed to look absolutely beautiful and perfect and pristine. And sometimes you walk in and you feel, oh, I can't touch anything. Other ones you walk in and you think, oh, I could so totally live here. Businesses the same way, depending on how things are oriented. It's about, are you feeling welcomed? Or are you feeling like you have to do museum hands, which is what we always told our children whenever we'd go places. Okay, put your hands behind your back and hold your fingers together. Link your fingers together. Museum hands, we look what we don't touch. So there is a lot of that. It's a lot about the emotions. My goal whenever I'm working with the client is to help them make their space feel as welcoming and nurturing and supportive as possible for that particular situation. And that goes the same with businesses because, again, many businesses are experiencing high turnover for several different reasons. If the space is not conducive to feeling like you can go in and focus and get your work done and be recognized and be respected, then this like this it just drove me crazy. This whole open concept fad, where everybody's got their desk just all shoved together. Not exactly great to go into doing something like that right before COVID, which a lot of people did. But the being able to have a little bit of space so that you weren't having to hear everybody else constantly talking all the time. That's just a lot of just excess energy bouncing off of each other. Having really high cubicle walls, on the other hand, was not a great trend either in the commercial real estate industry, because then you're in essentially a little tiny cave, and you are also feeling too separated from other people. It's no secret that some of the best conversations and the best connections are not made when you're working at your desk, but at the water cooler or in the kitchen. Because
there's a reason for that then. Yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, that kind of, I don't know if that helps or not, but to answer your question thoroughly, but there's a lot of different layers to it. And I'm constantly looking at how can I make sure that I'm honoring the client for their needs. What is it they're needing? What is it that they're not saying and that they don't know how to say? And what is the space itself really wanting? How can the space itself work to be supportive? There's many times I see people trying to make a room have too many different functions. So that's one of the reasons why I really hope that if at all possible, people cannot have their offices in their bedrooms, because a bedroom is best when it is done. There's literally only 3 activities. That's resting, recuperation, and I forget the other R I used to use, but just the sexy time. Reconnection. That was the other one. Reconnection. And that's why TVs in a bedroom are a bad idea, because having a television in the bedroom that actually is acting as a third entity, and so it's just taking your energy away from you and your partner. Now, if you don't have a partner and you want a partner, that bedroom still needs to be just sacrosanct for you to recover, not to be in there watching TV, because that then takes away the motivation and the space that you could be holding to bring a partner in. Electronics in a bedroom too, it's very yang. You want it to be very yin. So to define yin and yang, yang is an outward moving, it's a fast moving, it's like a smooth, shiny surface, hard edges. Some refer to that as the masculine expression. Yin is more of the textural, lower to the ground, soft, yielding. That's more of the feminine expression. And so you want that more relaxing yin environment in a bedroom, so that the body can actually fully rest and recover. Televisions, electronics, those are all very yang. Plants even. I love plants. I don't have any in my bedroom. Now, the rest of my house looks a little bit jungly, but not my bedroom, because it's too yang. They're always growing. And so I try to, and I don't mind like prints or like I have nature images, but I don't have any actual plants in my bedroom.
And that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why.
Exactly.
Yeah. See, there's just so much. And I suppose it's because, like you said earlier about this is tangible and then there's the intangible. And it's all here, folks, whether you can see it or not, and I suppose, do you think we've just been conditioned to not cut ourselves off fully, but not be as intuitive to this intangible? Do you see that's been the problem?
So yes and no. I think the thing is, many people are incredibly intuitive, sometimes too much, and it's like going through the world with extremely acute hearing, and every volume is turned up to 15 on a scale of 1 to 10. And so we turn it off, we tune it out. We have to find ways to turn the volume down. And Some people do that through different addictive tendencies, over medicating, overworking, over shopping. Again, drugs, alcohol, those are great numbing mechanisms. Watching TV to excess, which, well, come on, we all need a little bit of that. It's like we all need some Novocaine. If we're going through some hard stuff, we need some kind of Novocaine to like numb the pain in our gums, like if we're getting a cavity filled. So I'm not saying that the self-medicating piece is a bad thing. I love binge watching things. I go through phases where I'm about to enter a phase where I'm going to go plant crazy because it's springtime now here in Texas, and I can go to the plant store and make a lot of work for myself, but then I get to enjoy it.
But it's all about balance.
It really is.
It's just finding that balance.
Exactly. But as far as that balance between the yin and the yang, it's always like a wave. It's always flowing. I always tell people to look at the way that energy flows. You want to have something that reminds you of a gently meandering stream, not the waterfall, not the stagnant pool that's got all the junk growing in it. You want a gently meandering stream. When you have clutter that's acting as if it's a dam, like a beaver dam, you don't want to have everything blocked up, because that's not healthy for the stream, for the water, and for the creatures that live inside of it. And the wind, we all love a nice gentle breeze on a warm summer day. That is perfect. Nobody wants to have a hurricane come through and blow you off your feet, nor do we want those super calm days where nothing moves, because then the air feels really stagnant and clammy, and it's very uncomfortable. So you're finding that happy medium. The biggest suggestion I'd have for all of your listeners right now is take a look at your space. If your house was essentially full of water, and your furniture was an island, or the little islands, would you be able to maneuver a canoe easily? Or would you find yourself stuck in a spot where you couldn't really move? If so, it might be time to rearrange things.
That's a great tip. Okay. And with regards to the rest of the house, you mentioned that the bedroom needs to be more yin.
Yes.
Is everything else a mix, or is there any sort of more one thing than the other in any other part of the house?
I like to have my office be a little bit more yang, so that I can stay a little bit more focused. You can see behind me, I've got a few of my tools back there. They typically are right there at my elbow so that I can have easy access to them. But for the rest of my space, I want to have my desktop clear. I work very hard to keep it clear, and it doesn't always work. Because again, the reality is I'm always working. There's some project that's happening all the time. So I have my little pile that is to do now, my little pile of things that I'm working on. And then I have other binders that I have on a future side of things. When you're looking at a space where you need to stay focused, the placement of your office desk really does make a difference. I encourage everyone to look at it from a power position way. So you'll notice I have a solid wall behind my back. I do have an L-shaped desk, which gives me the workspace over here, but I have the ability to face forward. So I've got the wall behind my back. It's giving me a perfect view of doors that come in over here on this direction. I do have a window slightly in front of me, but there's quite a bit of space between me and the window, so I can see if there's anybody walking down the path. This is the power position. I am the master of my domain here. If people are working in an environment where their back is exposed and they can't a solid wall, so getting back into the cubicle life on an office, there's two things that a person can do to help moderate that. You can get you can get a small mirror that you could tape to the side of your monitor. So like a rear view mirror in a car, you can just avert your eyes and see, oh, who's coming up behind me, instead of being shocked when somebody just, that's the thing. Even when you're home alone and you're working by yourself, even if you have no pets and you're home alone, your house will make noises. And it will creak, and you'll go, what? Okay. And that's, and it's that startle reflex. It's not good. But the other thing too that people can do is symbolically put a stop sign on the back of your chair. So on the back of a chair, if you're working in an environment where your back is exposed, get a red sweater, hang it from the back of your chair. It's our brains are conditioned to look at the color red as stop. So it's your subtle way of saying, okay, take a breath before you interrupt me, please.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
so basically having everything set up appropriately, what you're saying is this is going to have a knock-on effect to how you work, the results that you get. So this is how this really can change. So you as a transformational coach, how is that specifically fitting in with what you're doing with the Feng Shui? It's part of the process. How is it that you work?
It is absolutely part of the process because depending upon where the clutter is collecting in a person's home, I can tell you pretty much what part of your inner story is needing some addressing. I've worked with many women who are having fertility issues. So many times they're the West sector, which deals with children and creativity and creative problem solving. The west part of their home will either be really cluttered or it will be completely empty and unused, one or the other. Either there's so many different little mental stories that are saying, I'm never going to get pregnant, I'm never going to have a baby, I can't carry this to term, I've already had several miscarriages, I can't do this. Or again, there may be a memory somehow, one of those past life memories or stories of that you too many times we hear about women having either very difficult labor and delivery or they will have childbirth death. Come on, it's not that uncommon. It's less common these days, but it still happens. And so somewhere along the line, maybe that story has been internalized that that's going to happen to them. So if I see that in the West sector, then I can ask them the questions if they are willing to share. And then at the coaching piece is helping to unravel that belief and then place certain objects and arrange things in a different way in that particular sector. So that way they can see that, okay, it is safe for me to have a baby. It is safe for me to become a parent. If someone is looking at trying to get a promotion, I would have them look at the south part of their house. This is the fame and reputation sector. If they're feeling unable for people to notice them, I need to help them amplify the energy in that space because that's about what are people saying about you when you're not around. And that south sector is a fire element. So that's where I'd have people put candles, a red envelope, write a letter of gratitude. I'm so grateful that I have been receiving the positive attention for all this hard work and effort that I've put into this job. I am so thankful that I get to grace this new company with these skill sets that I have and just something like that. And I would have them put that in that south sector so they can see it. Because again, it's then that visible, tangible reminder of the intangible mental mind shift. And that's how that all works together.
Right. So what you've got in your space is somehow of a mirror of what's going on inside of you somewhere. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. And I know that sounds kind of scary when you start to really look around going, ooh, what kind of stories have I been telling about myself?
But there you go. But that's the key, isn't it? It's just a story. Actually, I see that as really positive because that means you could do something about it.
You can become your own screenwriter.
There you go. So you don't have to stay stuck. So it's okay because I suppose we go through life and we're not aware. Nobody's told me this. So thank you, Beverly.
You're welcome.
And then when you have that realization, now you can choose, like you said earlier, very powerful word, you can choose. And if it's not the right time for you, then even then it's still a win because you're aware, and when you're ready to deal with it, you'll be ready to deal with it. So I think that is absolutely massive because of how much it is empowering. It just means that, and this is the issue. So many people don't look at the intangible. We're just looking at the physical, aren't we? We've always focused on the physical. And I do think more and more people are coming round to that way that, there is a little bit more going on here. We do know that there's so much more going on that we can't necessarily see, touch, smell. There's stuff going on here in this room right as we speak, right? I've only got to tune into a certain radio. Did the music just arrive? Or was it here in the beginning? If you can hear it all, it would sound horrendous, wouldn't it?
It would. Oh,
it wouldn't be very pleasant. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. That will have a lot of effect on what's going on. So for you, do you go in and help with companies sort out their environment, or do you just work with individual entrepreneurs and things like that?
oh, I do both. I have a lot of individuals that I work with. I have a lot of entrepreneurs. I have a lot of very small business owners. I have a few larger companies that I've worked with in the past. To be very honest, though, most of the larger companies, they are by the time they realize that they need me, sometimes there's enough other layers to get through before I can actually get to do the work, that those tend to be a very small portion of my portfolio of clients. I love working with entrepreneurs. I love working with families, especially couples or people who are in relationship transitions, because there's usually either the one end of the spectrum of, okay, it's just me again. How do I live outside of a partnership? Or you get the two people coming together and it's like, okay, now I've got this story about this item here, and they've got this other story about this item over here. How do we merge these stories? This is a great collaboration, but this is not, I like this and they like that. How do we find that? How do we recreate, again, this new narrative?
A new story.
A
Yeah.
new story.
So just go, yeah, you can start a new story whenever you want to. So how do you, with your story about you coming through and obviously thriving from that diagnosis, why do you think that really helped you specifically? Because this is a very specific thing, isn't it? I've not heard it really spoken about before, Feng Shui. But why do you think it really helped you personally?
Oh my gosh. I had no family history of breast cancer. I had some cousins who had some issues on their side of the family, but it's nothing in my immediate family. And so being so young, I was very confused. And whenever you get a diagnosis like that, I don't care what age you are, when you finish with all of the medical treatments, you're left with this hanging feeling like, I don't know what to do anymore. I don't know how to live anymore. Everything has changed. Your entire paradigm has been flipped upside down. What helped me so much by having this roadmap, having this Feng Shui diagnosis, not a diagnosis, but the language to look at my space from a different perspective, gave me the sense of control that I felt like I had lost when I really truly felt like my body had betrayed me. I look differently upon that now. I actually am very grateful to my body. It had been working so hard to get me to understand that I didn't have to be a doormat. I didn't have to completely give up my entire identity and desires to be considered a good wife and mother. In the mental state that I was in at that time, it took getting that sick to give myself permission to make space for myself. And that was an enormous gift that I got, that I do my best to share with others, that you don't have to. Yes, it is socially acceptable for you to make space for yourself when you're sick, or you have some kind of a diagnosis like that. But you're allowed. You have my permission right now. You can take the space for yourself and stay healthy. You can do that
Yes.
now without and thrive. You do not need to go through a diagnosis like that to get sick. And I try to this is not just for women, this is for a lot of men too. Men work themselves so hard that they don't make space to feel all the feelings. And so that's why I think a lot of men end up getting so ill, especially at a later age, earlier than women do. That's one of the reasons why I think men die sooner, is they don't make space to feel all of those emotions because that's not necessarily socially accept. I'm giving them permission now too.
It is. It is. It is. I suppose it's all linked to stress in it in a
Yes.
certain way. Whatever you want to name it, it's a version of, and it must be down to, which I suppose even, how do you feel when there is a load of clutter? It stresses you even more, doesn't it? It does make sense to have a correlation there be in anybody's home, really, because, and we know that, we're not designed to be our bodies shouldn't be under so much stress consistently. We're designed to deal with stress and then release it as long as you release it. But so many people aren't, are they? So I suppose what you're saying there is coming to that realization that now you're healthy. It doesn't mean you go back to your own old ways. It means, right, from now on, it is important to get that balance and have space for yourself. And that includes the home. So yeah, it does. It's making a lot of sense to me now. It is all interlinked. Like you said right at the beginning, it's mental, physical, it is a spiritual, everything is all together. And yeah, your home is, why would it be any different? So I love that.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so again, I was talking about those 9 sectors. At the very center of that is health. And I was thinking about explain to people it's like a wheel, like a bicycle tire. If one of the spokes breaks, you're not really making a lot of forward progress, a little flumpity flumpity, but you're still able to move forward. But if that hub breaks, if your health falters, it doesn't matter what other business plans you had going. Doesn't matter what kind of wonderful creativity you had going on. It doesn't matter if you have the best job in the world. If your health is poor, you don't move forward. Period.
Yeah,
And
sure.
and so I use feng shui as a way to look at my space and remove any of the speed bumps. The clutter is a speed bump. Leaking faucets or leaking toilet, that's a speed bump because water and money are linked. They're intricately linked in feng shui. Because if you have no water, you again lose your health, and so you can't earn money. And anyway, making sure that's dealt with. Doors that don't open easily, that's another speed bump. That means that you can't really easily welcome in opportunities. And so looking at that's why people keep toilet lids. It's so important to keep the toilet lid down when you're at home, because again, you want to make sure that nothing is getting flushed away. So if you keep that toilet lid down, it prevents things from falling into this hole that can't get out. And looking at where else can I try to avoid having those little extra energy pokes on you. There's a concept called sha qi. It translates to knife edge. So if you think about where walls come together, they usually come together at a point. So if you're sitting in front of a wall that has that point coming at you, it's as if you've got a little person coming and just tapping you on the shoulder nonstop all day long. And at first, it's not a big deal. But after several days of that, you're like, what do you want? And you become a little irritable. You become a little testy. Like for me, one of the things, I actually have 2 in my space. I have 2 of these kind of coming at me. The first one, I have a crystal hanging from the ceiling, one of those round faceted crystals, just to help block the energy. And on the other one, I had to place a little chair in front of the poison arrow coming at me from a storage cabinet. That makes a difference for me because I notice it, and in my vocabulary, in my experience, and I'm as sensitive as I am, it makes a difference for me. My husband is oblivious to a lot of this stuff. He goes along with it because that's what happens when you're married to somebody for over 30 years. You say, okay,
But it's
this is your
affecting him. He just
expertise.
doesn't know. He just doesn't know.
Oh, no,
Right.
he knows
Oh.
because I tell him all the time.
So let me get this straight. So I might have even interrupted you really on the
No, you're
9.
good.
So we've got North. Let's go through it again. North is your future. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go ahead and I'll start at the beginning. North is your career and life path, and it resonates with the water element. Northeast is skills and knowledge. It resonates with yang, earth, and skills and knowledge is about that's what the make money now sector. It's what is it that you know? What skills do you have? What knowledge do you need? What knowledge, what wisdom are you bringing to a situation? How can you take that and then create action plan to take right now? East is family and ancestors. It's about legacy building. It resonates with yin wood. This area also deals with what are the stories that you grew up with? How are they still worthy of them having a place in your world? What kind of, people always talk about historical trauma. I also talk about historical strength because there's a lot of badasses that we all have in our lineage. The southeast sector, that's the wealth and abundance sector. That yang wood, that's bamboo. We bring in purples, jewel tones, vertical elements. It's all about what kind of legacy or wealth building investments. So that's all these people who had money in the Silicon Valley Bank. I'd have you look at that sector going, okay, I want to talk about that. South is a fire element. That's the fame and reputation sector. That's how are you getting out there in the world? What do you want people to say about you when you're not around? The southwest sector is relationships and partnerships. Some people also refer to that as the love corner. That's a yin earth sector. So soft items, cushy blankets, pairs of items if you are looking for a partner, making sure that the pairs are looking at each other or at least on the same level so that you can have equality in the relationship. It's also about the people that you're working with, the colleagues, the businesses that you're doing, that you are in collaboration with. So we look at that if you want to improve that section of your world. The West is children and creativity, creative problem solving. It's a yin metal sector. Think of yin metal as jewelry, gold, silvers, the things that you can twist, the malleable, shiny pieces like that. You can bring in toys. Like if you're trying to conceive, bring in kids' toys, bring in elements of an example of like a baby that you're going to have. If you're just wanting to bring more play and lightheartedness into your world, put some art supplies in there so that you remind yourself that, hey, I get to have fun too. The northwest sector is helpful people and travel. This is a yang metal sector. So think of a box, like a metal box that you can put business cards in, people that you want to help you. Let's say you're going back to getting this promotion. Who could help you? If you've already addressed the south sector, that, okay, this is what I want people to say about me, but now who can I have help actually say it? Do I need to travel someplace in order to meet the right people to help move me into the next stage that I want to be in? And again, in the very center is health, physical, mental,
Wonderful.
Financial, emotional, spiritual. All of those aspects of health need to be looked at so that you make sure that you're firing on all cylinders. And when that happens,
Love that.
honestly, when that happens, when everything is all working together, people truly think you're magic because everything goes your way.
Wow. I mean, yes. So there's so much more than, thank you for that. That's so much more than I ever realized about that. So if anybody's listening and they're like, oh, I want to sort my house out, how do they get in touch with you, Beverly?
They can find me on theintuitiveinterior.com. That's THE, and then the word intuitive. And then the last word is interior, that's singular.com. You can find me on Facebook. You can find me on Instagram. I'm on WhatsApp you can find me Beverly Beal there. I think +1 214 679 3498 is the WhatsApp number. Just look for me there and you can send me a message.
Awesome. It's a fascinating subject and I love it because it is all linked. It's all to do with energy. And so finally, there was one thing you mentioned in the stuff that you sent me.
Oh,
the year of the rabbit.
yes. So
what has that got to do with anything? Tie it all in.
all right, I'll tie it all in. So the Chinese philosophy of astrology charts is different than Western astrology in that they still have 12 signs, but there are 12 animal signs. And each of those animal signs is associated with the lunar month. That's why the Chinese, they have their lunar calendar and that always changes. And then they have the solar calendar year that they start with the actual Feng Shui pieces of things. Why that's important to know is they combine them with those 5 elements. And so there's 5 elements times 2 because there's the yin and the yang presentation. That gives you an idea of what the flavor of the year is going to be. Last year was the yang water tiger. It's yang, but we're in the yin water rabbit. So the yin water is more like the gentle rain. The rabbit energy corresponds with the month of March. So think about early spring. So it's also a yin earth energy. It's a fertile soil. So this year with the gentle water and this fertile soil, we have the opportunity for lots of things to grow and expand and so many opportunities coming up. Now, the thing is, stuff will grow. You might be able to grow these beautiful plants, but weeds will also grow. So being aware of what is expanding in your world. Is it a weed? Is it a flower? Is it something delicious? You get to decide, am I still growing what I want to grow? Last year was more about, there's something here. I'm going to just wait. I'm going to wait. And there I'm going to go. Yang water is like a waterfall that was washing away a lot of the old junk. And people sometimes were looking around going, ew, that was under there. And so now it's that, okay, it's a little bit softer. It's a little bit gentler. There still is a lot. Right now, we are in the month of the Yang Wood Rabbit month. So again, so we've got a double rabbit energy right now for the month of March until, let's see, I think it's April 4th. And that means that it's a spotlight on everything that is good or maybe not so good. So it's an opportunity. So again, whatever is showing up right now, pay special attention. If it's got that spotlight energy on it, it is really trying to get your attention to let's deal with this now. Let's do it now. Let's no more hiding it under the rug, because next month you'll lose a lot of that opportunity and the motivation to really, really firmly clean up whatever it is that needs to be cleaned up.
Awesome. There you go. So this year is looking good. Yeah.
It is.
The year
I'm
of
just
the
going to
rabbit.
say
It's gonna be good.
It is. Rabbit energy. Think about just how rabbits act. They're either out bouncing around with their friends and frolicking and making new rabbits, or they're going into the dens and being with family and tending to those new rabbits. So there's going to be a lot of going out and gathering things in and then going back and retreating and going to more of an internal piece where you get to grow that internally and really inhabit that expansion.
Wonderful. Well, how fantastic to end that on then. So great conversation today. Thank you for that. I've learned a lot. Yeah, thank you for your time. And to everybody else, I will be back on Thursday with a Coffee with Karen. Bye for now.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Coffee with Karen podcast, a weekly chat show discussing everything from holistic health to current affairs from a mental, physical and spiritual perspective. Get your weekly cup of positivity with a sprinkling of woo-woo.